So movies, I have release dates for almost all of these. Some of them have not been, ouch. Got a cramp in my leg. Some of them have not been officially announced, but most of them have. So, and honestly, probably going to surprise you how few superhero movies are in here. There are some, but yeah, not super looking forward to many of the Marvel projects this year. Just not the way it's working out for me. Some of them will be great, I'm sure, but yeah, not so much on the whole. So let's just start at the start and then take it away. My name is Simpson Bartholomew J. I do that way too much on the show. Infinity Pool starts us off January 27th. This comes from David Cronenberg's son. So the king of body horror, David Cronenberg, his son, Brandon Cronenberg, is I think this is his first movie, and he's got Alexander Skarsgård starring in it. It looks pretty weird in a lot of the same ways. Let's go to Variety for this section. But yeah, it looks weird in many of the same ways that his dad is weird. So I'm super stoked about that. But also looks slightly. Your search function is not working there, Variety. Let's go to Deadline. Let's see what Deadline has to say. There we go. Search function. There we go. So what do we say? Infinity Pool. Infinity Pool. John Malkovich, where Alexander Skarsgård. Why is your stuff so off? There we go. Out of order. What the heck, man? Malkovich, Alexander Skarsgård, Mia Goth, Cleopatra Coleman, and Todd Fields. Yeah, I'm very excited about this because I'm curious to see what Cronenberg's son brings to the table, because Cronenberg is such a unique talent that this is just going to be worth the watch just because. Next on the list, probably this one's mostly because of the shock factor, and that's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Oh, January 27th is Infinity Pool. I don't know if I said that. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, single day release, February 15th. That is going to be the day that you can go watch Winnie the Pooh and Piglet murder some fools. Yeah, it's it's gonna be very interesting. This is strictly shock factor. There is absolutely no reason to be excited about this other than it's gonna be a hot mess. So yeah, Winnie the Pooh. Where are we going? There we go. Winnie the Pooh. See if there's a I have a release date. What am I doing? Release date for this is February 15th. Then we come to our first... Oh, I'm in the wrong stuff. Winnie the Pooh. I said Winnie the Pooh. Fine. Enter. Really? Is there really nothing about... Deadline didn't cover Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Oh boy, okay. Oh, at least not in their search. I couldn't find it. All right, so next we're coming to our first superhero piece, and that is Shazam. This one will be here. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Good Lord, why do people suck so bad at writing code? I don't get it. Shazam. So, Shazam, Fury of the Gods comes out, March 17th. This is the only thing I'm really looking forward to for DC movies, aside from the Batman sequel. and that's not technically canon anymore, or never was technically canon. We're gonna talk about the Joker, but Batman sequel's not coming out this year, so we're not gonna talk about that. But definitely Shazam: Fury of the Gods. It was a lot. The first one was a lot of fun. It had its flaws, like most comic book movies do, but there's no reason to not be excited about the next one because the first one was a whole hell of a lot of fun. That brings us to the news piece of whether or not we're actually going to see Zachary Levi return for a third movie or cameo or what have you. Which also opens up the field for the conversation about James Gunn. There has been a lot of talk about what James Gunn is going to be doing with the DCU as he takes over. And James Gunn is gonna do whatever James Gunn wants to do. That's kind of the first thing we have to accept, is that there's nothing we can do to change his mind. He's just gonna do the thing and we have to accept it. So there's that. But I am okay with that. The series, the properties rather, that he's going to keep in place are likely as follows. Shazam is probably the least likely of them, but though I do still think there is more likelihood it will stay than go, because it's relatively self-contained. There's a Superman cameo, but you don't see Henry Cavill's face, so that could be anybody. Peacemaker, we already know is staying. John Cena and James Gunn, I think, both have confirmed that Peacemaker will be staying. And then Suicide Squad will remain canon. I don't think that there's going to be anything from Suicide Squad aside from John Cena and, I just had her name in my head. I'm going to look it up because I'm a dummy. Let's check chat while I'm looking. Nothing yet? Yeah, I think Chris might have fallen asleep, guys. Oops, did I minimize it? I shouldn't have minimized it. Don't minimize. Oh, no, I didn't minimize. What's the story here? Shazam. Viola Davis. There we go. See, all I had to do was distract my brain, and then I thought of it. So, Viola Davis. Oh, I'm breaking stuff. And Zachary Levi, possibly, and John Cena are really going to be the only things that stick around. I think that I think that honestly is kind of a better, I don't know if it's better, but it's an acceptable way to do the reboot. Would it be cleaner? Would it be easier potentially if he just started everything fresh? Yeah, I can see that. But these properties are relatively self-contained. I understand that at the end of Peacemaker, we see the Justice League kind of come on screen. We see specifically Jason Momoa's face, Gal Gadot's face, and potentially Ezra Miller's face. We don't see Batman at all, if I'm remembering correctly, and Superman remains in the shadows. I could maybe have those two flipped, but I think that's the way it went. So yeah, there is a little bit of stickiness there at the very end, but by and large, it's self-contained. It doesn't require the rest of the DC extended universe, or whatever the hell you want to call it up to this point, now that they've changed the name to the DCU. It doesn't require any of that to work. So that, I think, is why it's acceptable for him to keep it that way. Likewise with Suicide Squad, really the only person that matters in that is Viola Davis. Margot Robbie very likely will not be returning, very, very likely will not be returning as Harley Quinn, so we don't have anything to worry about there. And we already know the Batman debacle. We already know the Superman debacle. Kind of is what it is at this point. Nothing we can do to change it. So, yeah, I think because they are mostly self-contained, it is a little bit sticky with Suicide Squad. It is a little bit sticky with Peacemaker. But because they're mostly self-contained, there's nothing to worry about with these. And then as Blue Beetle comes out, I think we're going to keep what's his name, Zolo, who plays Jaime in Blue Beetle. I think that's going to remain because that also very probably is going to be self-contained. Because it's our first experience with this superhero, I think it's very easy for Gunn to incorporate these elements into his DCU going forward. Is it, again, the most clean option? No, probably not. But it's acceptable because it's self-contained. I think that's probably part of the reason why some of the other things are not moving forward is because they're too reliant on the rest of the characters that are getting canned effectively. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that whole situation. I know everybody's thinking that, oh, it's really bad form for James Gunn to play favorites with his projects. I mean, he's the guy that's writing the checks right now, so he can do what he wants, right? All right, so that's that. What is our next bit? Next bit is Super Mario. I've already kind of went on ad nauseum about the Super Mario situation. I'm excited about it because it is Super Mario, and honestly, because the last time we saw a Super Mario movie, it was so god-awful. This one can only be better. But also, Illumination Studios does really good work, and because of that, because Illumination Studios is quality filmmaking is in the animated realm, and it's Super Mario, and you have, regrettably, as much as I don't want to admit it, all of these big name people doing voices for these characters, that's going to be a huge draw. I think Super Mario could be the highest, very likely will be the highest grossing video game adaptation ever. I'm putting that one out right now into the world. I think that Super Mario Brothers, very likely the animated movie from Illumination Studios, is going to cross $1 billion, potentially even close to or more than $2 billion, because it is such a globally known and loved property. And they are going to be able to release it in China. So that's going to be huge for them as well. So yes, globally, I think this is going to be the biggest video game movie ever. Quote me on that. Next is Renfield. I just love Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult, actually. The new trailer that dropped for this is the impetus for me to put Renfield on this list. Because I was kind of lukewarm on the idea, but then they dropped the trailer and I was like, okay, I'm stoked on this. April 7th is Super Mario Brothers. April 14th is Renfield. So there's that. And then we're moving into more horror territory. So Mr. Christopher, if you are still around, you're going to appreciate this one. But we have more horror territory, and that is, I lost my window. Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise is a new story in the Evil Dead universe. Let's see if I can find some artwork for it. But Evil Dead Rise is not going to be a reboot. Let's go to Google, shall we? Let's do the Google thing. Google Images, baby. We'll pull it up that way to make this stream visually interesting. So Evil Dead Rise. Just dropped that trailer. Watched it for the first time, I think last night. Looks like it's going to be... Oh, that's not a good picture. Looks like it is definitely going to be worth a watch. I don't think that it's going to... I don't think it's going to be super original in a lot of ways. I don't think it's going to be anything that like really expands modern horror. I think it is going to be overly reliant on jump scares like most modern horror, but there is something to be said about movies that are in the middle of the pack, or the top half of the middle of the pack, that just do the thing well. Granted, they're doing the thing that everybody else does, but if they do it well, then that sets them apart. So you don't have to be the most original thing ever. There we go. That's a pretty cool one, actually. I really dig that. You don't have to be the most original thing ever. You can just put out a really quality horror movie, and if you're putting out a quality horror movie, then people are going to watch it. So I think that we're not breaking any new ground, but we don't have to, and that's where we're set on Evil Dead Rise. Next one, we're talking Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 2, or I guess the Spider-Man 2. So let's do... That's what we're looking up. Across the Spider-Verse. Right there. Across Spider-Verse 2. This is one of my favorite animated movies probably ever, was the original one. I super, super dig the first Spider-Man movie. This is not an actual poster. Into the Spider-Verse was the first one. Across the Spider-Verse is the second one. There we go. That's the official poster. I really just the originality of the art, the ability of Sony to do the thing within the rigid restrictions of their contract with Marvel and still do something better than a lot of the Marvel stuff that we're getting. Yeah, I'm super stoked for the sequel to that movie. And we're going to get a lot more fan service in this movie because they already know that they're going to make $1 million or $1 billion off of it. So why not? Just all of the things point in a great direction. Spider-Man is definitely on the list. So June 2nd is the release date on that one. That moves us next to, and I know I said we didn't have a whole lot of superhero stuff, so we've got a kind of a chunk right here of superhero stuff, and then that's the last of it, honestly, unless you want to count Ninja Turtles, but we'll get to that. So next we're talking about Flash. This is not most anticipated because I think it's going to be good. This is most anticipated because I think it's going to be a train wreck, and I want to be here for that. Just everything that's been going on with Ezra Miller, everything that's been going on with the DC, the Warner Brothers Discovery merger and the creation of DC Studios and James Gunn taking over, and how they're going to spin this movie into something that, according to rumors, is going to set up the DCU going forward. And now we're also hearing rumors that they're going to be keeping Ezra Miller as the Flash potentially going forward, which is bizarre to me. This is a man who has been arrested no less than 3 times over the course of the last year and a half. Arrested, breaking the law. And they're like, nah, that's cool. But I mean, you know, if you have the wrong set of beliefs, then you're blacklisted from the industry. But yeah, it's just whatever, man. This is going to be such a dumpster fire. Like, this is honestly the reason why I don't think we're going to get anything good from DC proper for a couple of years until James Gunn really gets his feet underneath him. I think we're going to have a couple of really big stinkers, and this is going to be the king of all stinkers that's setting up the road for that. And I really want to see it. So yeah, that's what we got. Blue Beetle, June 10th rather, is The Flash. Next is Blue Beetle. Like I said, Blue Beetle is one of my favorite of the younger characters. I don't want to say new character because Blue Beetle's technically been around for a long damn time, since the pulps of the 50s. But this version of Blue Beetle, the Jaime version of Blue Beetle, I really dig. I'm a big fan. I really like the stuff. I don't think this one's going to be a dumpster fire really at all. I think there's going to be a lot of liberties that they take for this movie, but I don't think it's going to be bad for that. But the reason I think this is going to be separate from The Flash is, like we already talked about, it's going to be self-contained, so it's not going to have any effect around anything around it, and everything around it's not going to affect it. But also because this started before all of the craziness with the merger and everything else started going down, so it's insular in that respect too, in that it's been going on in spite of the mergers and in spite of James Gunn and in spite of DC Studios and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be a quality movie. I don't think it's going to be the best superhero movie ever. I think it's going to be a really cool introduction to a really cool character, and I want him to stick around for a long, long time going forward because, again, Jaime Reyes is a cool-ass character. August 18th is Blue Beetle. Next is Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2, November 3rd. I don't think I have to explain why this is on the list of most anticipated, because Dune Part 2... Here, let's pull up the art, shall we? We didn't pull up Blue Beetle. Oh, no, Blue Beetle art. Beetle. I can spell it. Blue Beetle movie. Right there. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Look at that suit. That looks so badass. Sorry, I'm a nerd out here for a second because I've seen these pictures, but we haven't looked at them on stream. We looked at this one, I guess, on stream, but yeah, look, that just looks just like the comic and his Injustice iteration. That's him from Injustice. Yeah, I'm down for this. I'm super, super down for this. Zolo, what's his name? Maraduena is it looks like he's gonna knock it out of the park. Like, to be 100% honest, I dig the kid in the Cobra Kai series. I think he has the chops. I think he has the look. I think that this is going to be a really fun superhero movie. Not gonna be great. Not gonna be the best. Again, not the best superhero movie ever, but gonna be a whole lot of fun. So anyway, Dune Part 2. I closed the window. I didn't mean to. Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 is set for November 3rd. Denis Villeneuve is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. We learned that in spades with the last movie and with I can't remember the Alien movie that he did, but that was sick. And then he did the Blade Runner 2049. That movie was fantastic. From a cinematography standpoint, it was a little long. It had its issues, but by and large, Denis does amazing work. And I totally loved Dune Part 1. I'm super excited to see how he adapts the second half of that book, roughly. I think it's a little more than half where he cut off, but yeah. It's just gonna, and also Timothée Chalamet is a goddamn acting god. This kid is holding session. Like, he is teaching you how to be an amazing actor. He has no right to be as good as he is, being as young as he is. And we just get to reap the benefits from his incredible talent in these movies, just because he is Paul freaking Atreides. I'm just going to keep gushing. We got to move on. So, November 3rd, also November 3rd, is Godzilla. I like the Godzilla movies. I know we talked about the series a moment ago, and there was no... I didn't have as much love for the series potential as I do for the movies, generally speaking, but Godzilla... the movies are always fun, as long as you can sit through the human bits to get to the monster bits. I think they're always worth a watch, and sometimes the human bits are not easily sat through, so you kind of get mixed results there. But the human bits are always garbage. I just want to see monsters destroy stuff, man. That's what I want to see. So yeah, there's no further explanation needed there. November 3rd, Godzilla. Next is the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. No official title for this movie just yet, but we do have a release date of December 20th for this bad boy. That was such a quality movie with the first one that there's no reason to not be anticipating the second one. No real news on that. Moving right along, we have Rebel Moon. No release date for this one just yet. Let's see if we can pull up some production stuff. Rebel Moon is the Zack Snyder. Good Lord. Zack Snyder? Yeah, Zack Snyder. Okay, I was right. My brain works. Rebel Moon is the Zack Snyder almost Star Wars movie that we've been keeping tabs on. This is the movie that he would have done if they would have let him do a Star Wars movie. They didn't let him do a Star Wars movie, so he had to change some things to distance it from Star Wars. But I mean, Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm sorry, I never pronounce his name right, and I hate the fact that I don't know how it's pronounced. But either way, he's an amazing actor. He looks like a badass in this production still. I'm really interested to see Zack Snyder's take on Star Wars, just because Zack Snyder is such a unique voice in film. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate either. I always call him the poor man. I can't. Words and names and things are brain farting, and I apologize. We got to get to the end of this though. So yeah, Rebel Moon, Star Wars. It's not Star Wars. I'm down for it. I would imagine this is going to be a fall release. I don't think they're going to let him release it for the holiday season at the end of the year, but I also don't think they're going to use it during their summer slate. I think they're going to use it to connect the two. So I would say, knowing nothing about the release date for it, that it'll probably see a late summer to early fall release on Netflix. I don't think it's getting a theatrical release at all. It's just going straight to Netflix. So next is another one that doesn't have a proper title, but it does have a release date, much like the Ghostbusters Quiet Place spin-off movie. This one is not going to be helmed by John Krasinski. It is going to be produced by him, but it is not going to be directed or written, I believe. He might be part of the writing staff, or he might just use his production or his producer abilities to influence the script and how it incorporates into the rest of the universe. Either way, I really dig the universe. There's definitely plot holes. Go watch the pitch meeting for it, and also the honest trailer for it, because they definitely point out the plot holes, but it's still a whole hell of a lot of fun. One of the best monster creature feature movies to come out in the last 20 years or so. Hell of a lot of fun. Really excited to see what the next movie is. How, it's not going to be a proper Quiet Place to deal with the family that we've come to know from the first two movies. It's just going to be in that world. So it'll be really interesting to see them expand that world. September 22nd is the release date for that one. And that brings us to a very interesting situation here on this most anticipated for 2023, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, another animated movie for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's been since 2000, I want to say 4. We'll look it up real quick. Since we got the last animated movie. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, right there. There's pictures. This is apparently, that's not the art style. That's not accurate. That's not accurate. I think that might be accurate, kind of. That's definitely the art, the poster for it. No way. I don't think that's right either. Anyway, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, last time was the TMNT that came out after the abysmal third installation of the live action movie series, and I'm very intrigued by this. I've been a Turtles fan since I was a little kid. It came out when I was in diapers, so I've kind of grown up with these guys. So it's very interesting to see all of the different iterations of it. This time we have Seth Rogen throwing his hat in the ring. I think he's just producing, though. I don't think he's writing this or directing. I think it's just his production company, and then somebody else is on top of it. Before I just start talking out my butt, hey, let's go there. IMDb. So director Jeff Rowe and Kyler Spears, written by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Brennan O'Brien. So I think they're giving Eastman and Laird credits because they created the characters, and Brennan O'Brien is the one who's bringing it to screen as far as the script goes. Seth Rogen will be doing a voice and also producing. So let's go to cast and crew, see what IMDb has to say about it. So far, Evan Goldberg, Seth Rogen, and James Weaver, producers. Art department. They only have the 2 casts? Okay. Seth Rogen they don't even know who he's playing. They're just saying he's going to be a character. So I don't think that's accurate. Pretty sure he's just doing the production on this. I don't think he's actually going to be a voice, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, very interested to see how he's going to twist this, because he is becoming more political in his old age. Wondering if he's going to piss off the community at all. Very likely. But I mean, I'm always down for a new take on an old property. Next is Joker 2. We talked about this. I don't think there's a release date for this. Let's go look. I don't think there's a release date for this yet, but still no confirmation as to whether or not this is going to be a proper musical. They do keep billing it as a musical in some of the headlines and in some of the news releases, and in other ones they don't reference that at all, aside from the fact that Lady Gaga is going to be in it. So Yeah, I won't be surprised if there is a musical number because Joker's crazy. It takes place in Arkham. That makes sense. But a whole musical movie? I don't know, man. That's why it's on the most anticipated, because the first one was great. Joaquin Phoenix did amazing things with that character, that weird version of the character, but still, it was a great movie. Joaquin Phoenix is a hell of an actor, and it is not. This is the other thing that I think needs to be addressed again and again and again. The Joker movie exists in its own continuity. It is not the origin of the Joker that we have in the proper DC universe. It is a version of a story that may have happened. As the Joker says, if I have to have a past, I would prefer it to be multiple choice. That is hidden answer W on the multiple choice test. That is the Joker's past. So yeah, but still a fantastic movie. It's really cool to see a different artist take on such a beloved property, and when it's done well, it doesn't have to be exactly like the comic books say it is. It just has to be done well, and that is very much evidenced by the first movie. So that's what we have there. Our final one for the movies is Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is reportedly, this is kind of a good transition to the left field section, but Wes Anderson is reportedly putting out a new movie this year. And speaking of musicals, it is supposed to be a musical. So I believe this is a first for Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is another one of those very unique voices in cinema these days, as I think has been done ad nauseum in the YouTube sphere as far as video essays go. One of the most studied filmmakers in recent history because of his uniqueness, and also one of the most celebrated, which is a little weird because of just how offbeat his stuff is. I dig it though. Very excited to see what he can do with a musical. So that is what we've got there. All right, chat, don't let me down. What are you guys looking forward to? I know there's some lurkers in here. What are you guys looking forward to for 2023 as far as movie releases go? Let's talk about that while I transition into the final portion of this. What am I looking at? Once again, this has been just a brief segment from the larger episode that has been posted over on the main channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy. Go over there for the long form content, or just subscribe here if you want it in bite-sized chunks. Thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.